Hey everybody, Boone Wyatt with the 323 Concept Furniture Restoration here. You are watching the 323 vlog, and thank you so much for tuning in. Today, I'm doing another demo video on the soda blasting gun. If you watch some of my previous videos, and I'll put a link in the video where you can find that, just sort of see the demonstration of how I use it, what purposes. You'll see a video demonstration of using this blasting gun. Now I do furniture work. I use it a lot with baking soda, which is a very non-abrasive material, and I use it on wood. So I did it very carefully on a few personal projects and discovered that it works really good for what I do. I don't use it on a lot of painted projects, so I can't really speak to that, but I do use it on a lot of stain pieces. And if you do a lot of furniture work, you know it can be really difficult to remove. A lot of times you can use chemical strippers for the varnish, but how do you get the stain off? Well, you're really stuck hand sanding or using some type of foam sponge pad on your mechanical sanders to get that off. So I've discovered the soda blasting technique, and like I said, you'll see a video that I'll post of me using this gun. Well, I finally broke down. It wasn't really much more. In fact, I found it on a great sale. I think it's normally around $80–90, and I found mine just happened to be on a $50 sale, which is the cost of what this is. So I went ahead and bought it, and let me take you over there and show you what it looks like and how it's different from this one. Let's go. So, all right, and I'm gonna zoom down here. All right, so it's the same exact gun, right? The only difference is you've got this siphon tube that comes in from the bottom side, real similar to paint sprayers if you're doing like a gravity fed, or not a gravity fed, a pressure fed system. Well, this tube is, I think it's 8 feet, and it runs into your media bag with this little pickup wand. So you just stick that wand into your bag of abrasive, and like I said, this is a 40-pound bag of baking soda. I get these from Harbor Freight, and then when you set it up, you adjust your dials to where you want it, and they recommend setting your pressure at about 90 psi. So once you set all that, you can start spraying. So this is great for me because I do a lot of bulk spraying. If you notice, this is just the drawers. That's just the drawers for this project I'm working on, and the gun worked fine, the other one that I did the demo in, but as you see, I have to refill constantly because this is where you typically put your media in that other gun, but it has no pickup tube, so you're constantly having to refill this every 60 seconds. And it doesn't take long to refill, but it's just an extra step that adds up when you're doing a bulk job like this. All right, so as you see, the gun's not a lot different. It's almost identical gun, except on the bottom of this one, it has that pickup tube that runs into your abrasive. So the other one works great. The only downside to that one is you're constantly having to refill every 60 seconds or so, which when you're doing bulk jobs, every less step you have to take is going to end up, being money in your pocket. So I've got this one. This is my first time using it. So I'm hoping and praying that this goes really well and is going to pay itself off. If it doesn't, I think you can close off that valve and just use it as another gun, like identical to the one that I have before. You can just close off the valve on the bottom and use it as what you can just fill up the reservoir in the top and use it that way. So, but without further ado, let's jump right in. I'm going to show you, how I use it. These are a bunch of drawers that go to a chest of drawers and a dresser, and they've got contoured edges. And if you're not really careful with a sander, you can really create some hard edges if you're not careful. I guess the way to get around that with a mechanical sander is using the 1/2-inch interface pads with whatever sander you've got. But this way, once you see it, you'll understand. It just seems to be a lot easier process. And I'll preface me sanding this by saying always test this in an inconspicuous area on whatever project you're working on. That's the best way to start. It doesn't work on 100% of projects, and I'll be the first to admit that. But 90% of the projects that come through my shop, it works great and saves me hours and hours and hours and hours of time. So without further ado, let's jump in. Let's watch how it stands on these drawers. and I've even got a chest of drawer and the dresser I'll bring in out that got some detail work, and I'll show you how it works on those as well. So let's jump right in. And I forgot to mention, when I start sanding, a face shield comes in handy when you start spraying, especially if you're working in crevice or in tight spots. You'll notice there's a lot of blowback from the media. So if you want to protect yourself, these work really well. All right, I think that gives everybody a great idea of just what the gun's capable of. First impression, I'm a fan. You know, has a little bit of intermittent spraying, but it wasn't terrible. I might be able to fine tune that and mess with it a little bit more, but other than that, I was very happy with that. Yesterday, to give you an idea, I was having to refill just about every drawer after spraying, and I just went through 5, no problem. And you know, like I said, I'm a fan. I think that's going to save me a lot of time. Let's put some numbers to it. You know, if I were sanding these drawers by hand, you know, 15 minutes each maybe, and I think that's being generous, not to mention the hand pain that it's going to cause. It's not impossible to sand by hand, but heck, you know, everybody knows that's probably our least favorite part of furniture refinishing. Or if you do cabinetry, you know, I think that's probably one of the least favorite parts of doing, you know, cabinetry refinishing is having to hand sand, or even sand, you know, with an orbital sander. You know, nobody likes sitting there all day sanding by hand, and you saw how fast that went. We were blasting these, you know, it maybe took a minute each. So in what would have taken me 20, 40, 60, 80 minutes, 100 minutes, so almost 2 hours worth of work, I just finished in about 10 minutes. So, you know, our shop rate, you know, it's constantly changing, you know, but say it's close to $100 an hour. You know, I just saved myself $100 of an hour's worth of work, and I invested, you know, in a $50 gun, you know, maybe normally $80, $90, I can't remember. And then my bag of media runs about $45. So, you know, I had $100 into this project starting off. If you don't catch it on sale, $150. And I barely touched my bag. You know, that bag's going to last easy through this whole project, but it's going to save me probably 3, 4, 5 hours of sanding over this bigger project. And this is 2 large pieces of furniture. And you're really talking savings when you get into really detailed furniture. And if you watch some of my other videos, you'll see what I'm talking about. I've got spindles, leg spindles on decorative antique pieces, and it just knocks them out like that. When you get into your ornate decorative molding that comes on some of these pieces, especially the antique ones, and you can just blast it right off and not have to worry about you know, chemical stripping or sanding it by hand. The savings are just outrageous of what this gun can bring to your business. So cons, it does require a really powerful compressor. When you look up this gun, I'll put a link in the description of where you can find the gun on Amazon. Look it up. It has the specs of what kind of CFM at what PSI it requires, and you'll see, you know, what you need. So from there you can go and find a compressor that works for you. I found an Ingersoll Rand at Tractor Supply. It's an 80-gallon compressor. It's keeping up just fine. I used to have a 60-gallon Campbell Hausfeld, and it kept up fine with it. So, you know, find whatever compressor works for you. But you want to make sure that it can shoot a certain number of CFM at a certain PSI, and every compressor has that labeled on it. It'll be on the spec, so you just got to do a little bit of research and see if it works for you. So that's the one con, is there's an investment on the compressor side of things if you don't already have one. But other than that, you know, like I said, it's going to pay itself off within just a couple of jobs. You know, I didn't have to spend more than maybe $1,000 for my big old compressor, and it's already paid itself off, you know, probably 5 times over on some of these jobs I've done. So that being said, one thing that I would recommend adding to your compressor when you buy it, that's going to help the gun operate that much better, is going to be a filter for one, and then obviously you want to keep your air dry. The first issue I was having, and I just learned through experience, is if I don't have what they call a desiccant dryer, something to dry out my air as it's coming through the air hose, it's going to create moisture in your line, and moisture with baking soda is a huge no-no. It'll gum up, it'll start clogging your lines, and it just creates a lot of issues. I was having to clean out my gun quite frequently. So if you get a new compressor, or if you already have a compressor and don't have that desiccant filter, you're definitely going to want that, and that's going to make your operation that much easier and less of a headache in the long run. So, and those are pretty cheap, you know, they're not a huge investment either, you know, a couple $100s for the right products at the beginning, and it's going to make these projects go so much easier. So want to thank y'all for tuning in. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this video brought value to you. I hope it brings value to your business. If you liked it, hit that like button, share it with other furniture workers or cabinet refinishers. It's not, if you're repainting furniture, this isn't a tool you would use for that, because you don't have to completely strip the paint off unless your finish is in just terrible shape. But you can try it on painted surfaces. I haven't really had to do that, because when I repaint a painted piece, I typically don't have to use this. I just use a crud cutter, deglosser, degreaser. Don't want to get into the weeds on my process on that. I have that in other videos. But if it's a stained surface and you're refinishing a stained surface, you have to take the finish completely off, right? So if you think this will bring value to somebody who does that type of work, feel free to share it. If you want to subscribe to our future videos, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you get future updates. And we love to see y'all there in the future videos. If you got any recommendations, things you want to see, you know, and we haven't already done it, scroll through the video, see if there's anything you don't see. If you want to see something, we'd be happy to try to do a video in the future of whatever y'all are looking for. So, and if you got any tips on tricks, if you have this gun and you have any tips and tricks of ways that you operate with it, we'd love to hear from you. So that's my first impression of this baking soda blasting gun with the pickup tube. And thanks again for tuning in and sticking with us through it. And we hope to see y'all in the future. Thanks, y'all. Bye.